I will just say right now, since the notification just popped up, for everyone who is here right now, I think we're just going to wait like 2 or 3 more minutes for other students to come in. But just so you do know, we are recording this right now for everyone's educational purposes, so that people can watch it back on YouTube later. So if you would not like to be recorded, please just keep your video and microphone off the entire time, although you guys are technically muted right now anyways. But yeah, other than that, this is being recorded, so just to let you guys know, and I'll just put it in the chat part. But let's wait like 2 more minutes. Okay. How's everyone doing? I guess.
Good.
Okay, let's see. So I guess we can just kind of start with names, and then we will.
Can we say your major and stuff too?
Yeah, and where you're from. Just say like your major, where you're from.
All right.
And we just go in the alphabetical order that we talked about.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm from New Jersey, and I'm double majoring in education studies and international studies, and I'm minoring in global health and in the honors college.
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm from Minnesota. I'm majoring in psychology and legal studies with a certificate in criminal justice.
Hi, I'm Isabel. I'm also from Minnesota, and I'm majoring in civil engineering.
I'm Ishika. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I'm majoring in biomedical engineering.
Hi. Wait, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Jamie, I'm from Westchester in New York, and I'm majoring in journalism with a certificate in digital studies and business.
Awesome. I'm Lauren. I'm from a suburb of Seattle, and I'm a sophomore, and I'm majoring in retailing and consumer behavior with certificates in business and entrepreneurship.
Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I'm a poli-sci major, and I'm getting certificates in gender and women's studies and public policy.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, let's start. Okay, so again, I'm Lauren. I'm the co-moderator with Jamie. We're so happy you guys are here, and we are doing the CollegeSide Chat, which was put together by Harley, who is also in the chat right now, but he's muted and his video is muted too. But he's the one who put this all together, so big thanks to Harley. And we're really happy that we're going to be able to give you guys some extra information and student insight, and it's going to be a good chat. I just have a few things to say before we start, just kind of how this is going to go, and a few things that I need to say off the bat. So short disclaimer, we are not affiliated with UW-Madison. We are not affiliated with the guides office. We are not affiliated with SOAR. So this is really important because we really want to encourage the class of 2024 to continue to use those resources. They were so helpful for me, and we are just an additional resource, and we really endorse the university's efforts to continue to provide services for the incoming class at this time. We think they're doing a great job, and we are just an extra resource. So thank you for coming. And in addition to that, if you didn't hear me say it already, you are being recorded just for educational purposes. Harley's recording this for YouTube. So if you would not like to be recorded, just keep your video off the entire time. If you don't care, we would love to see everyone's faces and not just talk to black boxes with names. So if you want to undo the mute on your video, that would be awesome. And you can't unmute your microphone right now because we just figured for the sake of convenience that having the panelists or not the panelists, the participants' microphones off would kind of reduce volume and background noise. But at the end, Harley's going to give you guys the option to unmute yourselves so you can ask questions in the last 15 minutes. And you can also type them into the box if you don't want to speak. But the way that this is going to go is that we've prepared a set of questions that Jamie and I, the moderators, are going to ask all the panelists that really kind of give like a broad overview of student life at UW-Madison and just some things that we wish maybe we'd known, or things that are really helpful. So that's just kind of the like majority of this call. And then at the end, you guys can ask more specific questions if you have anything in mind. And just so you guys know, the panelists who want to stick around afterwards, and Jamie and I will be on the call for as long as this takes. So, you know, if it goes over the hour limit and you have more questions, feel free to stay and we will be here. So with that, we should probably start.
Yeah.
And the first question we have is actually a question for all the panelists. And that is, please say where you lived freshman year.
I lived in Celery, loved it.
I lived in Whitty, also loved it.
I lived in Bradley and I liked it too.
I lived in Dijon and I loved it.
I lived in Whitty and I also really liked it.
I lived in Celery and I loved it.
I lived in Whitty and I loved it.
Awesome. Okay. Jamie, do you want to do the next question?
Yes. Okay, so this question is for Amanda and Morgan. What are fun things to do on campus that you might not have realized that there were? This could literally be just anything, so.
Something that I like love doing on campus that I didn't know existed was like Picnic Point, right from the Union with like the terrace. There's like a nice, like, I don't know how long it is, maybe 3 miles there, 3 miles back. It's flat and it goes like all around the lake to a place called Picnic Point, and it's really fun to do, like to walk it with friends when it's warm out. Also, there are a lot of clubs. I joined the water ski team when I got to Wisconsin. Didn't know we had that, so you should definitely check out all the clubs. State Street's filled with restaurants. If someone's in Greek life, they could do Humo, which is like a big like production of like music and singing and acting that they put on at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a ton of workout places like camps, which is like Orange Theory and Psych for spinning, all along State Street too. Also, there's tons of like religious organizations. I'm Jewish, so I go to Chabad on Fridays for Shabbat, and there's like 50 people there, like a lot. Like it's just like a fun way to see people, but like all different religions and stuff. There's a lot of organizations for everything.
Great.
Yeah, so like one of the things that I love about Madison is that there is always something to do. Like literally you can never be bored. There's like always something going on, and like whether that's walking and like finding restaurants at State Street or hanging out at Memorial Union and like getting coffee there and doing homework, or just like walking around campus, like there's literally something for everyone. So like you never have to be worried about like being bored or like finding your place at Madison, because like there's so much for you to find like once you get on campus, and like that's one of the things that I love.
Awesome. Yeah, totally agree with all that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is for Erin and Amanda about Greek life. Are you involved? If so, what is the commitment like? And are there ways to have a social life outside of Greek life?
So yes, I'm involved in Greek life. I really like it. And one thing I just want to emphasize is that it's like so much, like as much of what you make of it. So I joined freshman year, and I was really, really close with a lot of my friends from the dorm in the beginning. So I feel like I didn't have that big of a time commitment. You know, I went to my chapter meetings once a week for like 20 minutes, but I didn't really do much. Now that I'm a sophomore, I'm more involved in the recruitment chair, so I'm doing like a ton of stuff with it. And also there's great flexibility within Greek life. People across different sororities are friends with each other. So I really love it. I love the sisterhood, just doing like apple picking, big little events, just like another way to make a big school feel smaller.
Yeah, okay, so I'm also in a sorority, and I'm really happy I decided to rush. I just met like a lot of my best friends through Greek life, and it's definitely allowed, like Amanda said, a big campus to feel a little bit smaller and more like home. Also, like she said, the commitment isn't too bad. We have chapter meetings once a week, some required alumni and philanthropy events, but other than that, it's really as involved as you'd like to be in it. It's really up to you. And if Greek life isn't for you, there's so many other things that are out there that you can do. There is a club for almost anything you can think of. And if you can't find one that you really want to do, or if there's one that hasn't been started yet, you can always start that. I know some of the dorms have events that they organize that you can go to and meet a lot of people through that. Otherwise, there's like different volunteer activities. There's just so many different things, and I really would recommend finding something you love or something you've always wanted to try, and just like trying it out. Just go for it, because it'll allow you to meet like a lot of really cool people, and you can make some really good friends that way.
It's really laid back at Wisconsin. Like, my friends are in my sorority and other sororities and not in sororities at all. Like, it's totally
Great.
Yeah. Okay, next question is, I think it's for Isabel. Where is your favorite place to go when you're stressed?
So there's this greenhouse right by Steenbach Library, and it's open only on the weekdays. So you can't really go there on the weekend. If you're ever stressed during the week, you just enter, and to your left, there's a whole greenhouse area with benches and a mini waterfall. And I just like to study there sometimes when I'm really stressed out, because you have the plants all around you. And during winter time, it's really nice because it's nice and green. I just feel like you're in nature again. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Okay, next one is a question that everyone can answer. What is your favorite student org? So go ahead, Amanda.
I love the water ski team. I never water skied before joining school except for at camp. And when I came to Wisconsin, it's just really like laid back. I went a few times, and there's like tons of lakes in Wisconsin, so that was really fun for me. And you don't need to be really good at anything. Like, I'm the worst, and it's like still fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
I'm a really big fan of Wisconsin Hovers. So it's like this bigger organization, and within it, there's like a ton of smaller things. There's like ski and snowboarding, scuba, sailing, horseback riding, mountaineering, outing club. And my favorite part of it is outing club, just because they plan a ton of really cool trips that you can sign up for and go on if you're looking for an adventure outside of campus.
Great.
Yeah.
My favorite club is ASCE, which is the American Society of Civil Engineers. I just like it because there's other like people who can help me with my classes who've already been in them before.
My favorite is AOE, which is a half professional, half social sorority. So we don't have a house or anything like that, but it's still like a group of women in STEM. And I like it because like it's hard sometimes to find a lot of women in STEM when you're kind of the minority in that. And so it's really nice to have that group, but also they provide a lot of professional support, and they help you with like mock interviews and making your resume and finding stuff like that. So that's been really helpful for me.
My favorite org that Lauren made me join is called Moda. It's like a lifestyle magazine that like anyone can join and like write for, and like it's really fun, it's really chill, and it's just made me realize that I really like to write. So yeah, great.
I was just gonna say, I'm part of Student Retail Association, which I really like. If you're in SoHe and you're a retailing major, this is like the bomb. It literally helped me make so many connections. But I also equally like Moda Magazine because a lot of SoHe kids do it. And actually there's kids from all over that do it. But it's a lot of SoHe kids, which I really liked because it helped me make friends for my classes. And I'm a contributing writer for the lifestyle section also. And every month we have an issue, and it's like so interesting. You get to be published, and I actually made a website with all my writing, and people in interviews have been asking me for it, and it's like super helpful. It's equally parts fun and like super good for your professional development. So joining a publication, if you like to write, definitely recommend. Okay, and Morgan.
My favorite organization that I'm in is Camp Kesem. So it's like 100 people or more, and we have meetings once a month. But what the organization does is you can either be in the general body or you apply to be a camp counselor for kids whose parents either have undergone cancer treatment or are going through it. So it's really cool because half of it is like fundraising, like sending birthday cards to the kids, like being involved in that aspect. And then the other half you can apply and you go through trainings to be a counselor. And then over the summer, you get to be a counselor for a week for a cabin of kids and get to do a lot of cool things. So that's been great. But like what I want to emphasize too is like if none of like these organizations that where we've like found another community at Madison like interest you, there's so many more at the org fair. Like you will find your place and like find 20 organizations that interest you. So that's just like a really important point to know.
I remember the first time I came back I go to the org fair every semester, actually. Like, you can go every semester if you want. Typically upperclassmen are kind of settled into their orgs, but I went all 3 times and I loved it. Like, you literally walk around the Cole Center and pick up pamphlet after pamphlet. It's like so interesting. There are literally hundreds of clubs. Like, there is a club for everyone at school. It exists. And if it doesn't exist, you can start it. Like, that's the beautiful thing. So definitely, this is just a small sample, but there are lots of opportunities.
I also want to stress too that you don't have to be like in the major to join some of these clubs.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I started out, I'm an engineering major, but I really like politics. So I started out in the political science club. I didn't end up staying just because I didn't have time for it, but like I was welcome there just as much as anyone else because it's more casual. But like some of them are major restricted, but most of them aren't. And so like everyone can be part of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Jamie.
All right, next question is, what is the quickest way to make friends or get to know different people?
I can answer that.
All right.
I'd say, everyone's path is a little different as, based on where you're from. Some kids come to school with lots of friends from high school, and that's super great. And some kids are like me, where they don't know anyone. I literally knew no one. And there's barely anyone from where I'm from who go to Madison. So I'd say the top 3 things I did prior to campus was going on Facebook. I messaged probably 100 people before I found my roommate, but I stayed in touch with those people, and I'm still friends with those people. I met my best friend. She's from Madison. I met my best friend at SOAR, and I love her. I kept her. I met a lot of my friends at SOAR, actually. So, I know it's like a weird, unique situation right now, but make the connections where you can. The Facebook was so helpful. I kept in touch with so many kids that I had talked to. I found like really random personal connections. I feel like at Wisconsin, it's super common to have like a random personal connection to someone. There was a girl that I messaged, Liv Pearl. I don't know if you guys know her, but I messaged her to be her roommate. And I was like, oh, she's from San Diego. Like, she looks really nice. And we ended up talking, and we found out that our dads were in the same fraternity at Wisconsin. And like, we had no idea before that. So, and then my dad's like, oh yeah, like I used to be friends with her dad. And he like pulled up this picture of them. It was like so random. So I feel like as long as you're looking for those connections and you're just a really open person, you will make friends on your floor. You will make friends to the Facebook. You will make friends in classes. And like, no matter the rate at which it happens, like it will happen for you, which I think that a lot of kids are nervous about, but just be patient and be super open and you won't have a problem.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to add one thing really quickly. Like, if someone were to ask me, like, what's the most surprising thing about Wisconsin, like, I would say that I cannot believe how often I run into my friends. Like, I was looking when I was looking at colleges, like, a lot of really small schools and a lot of big schools, like, all in between. And because I liked having sometimes, like, a homey feel. And when I went to Wisconsin, I was, like, worried that I was, like, going to sort of just, like, be alone. And I like run into all my friends every time I go to class, like anywhere I go. If I'm like going to pick up my dinner on State Street or something, like I'll run into like 6 or 7 friends, which is surprising because it's such a big school, like a big campus and a lot of students. But like you always run into people you know. And like whenever I have visitors come from other colleges to visit me or like my parents, they're like, oh my gosh, like how do you know everyone? Like on your floor, on this and this, like it's just crazy. Like you would never imagine how many times you'd run into people because it's such a big campus, but like seriously all the time. Like I run into like my roommate from freshman year like twice a day. Literally, it's crazy.
Another
Go ahead.
Sorry. Another thing is that for me, I was really scared because I thought like, oh, if I start a conversation, I'm gonna be super awkward. Or like I was always really scared to initiate anything, but you have to understand too that everyone's gonna be in the same situation where everyone's trying to make friends. And like the majority of people really don't know that many people and everyone wants to kind of find their own home. So it's a lot easier to like start talking to people and to make friends once you kind of get over the fear of talking to people for the first time, which I know can be challenging, but like everyone's in that situation. Everyone wants to make friends and it's not as bad as it sounds right now.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So this question's for Isabel, and it's what are figs and what are they like?
So FIGs are first year interest groups. You can take these basically the first semester of your freshman year. There's some in the second semester, but it's mainly the first semester. It's where all of your class discussions are with the same exact group of kids. So I was in a FIG for like sustainability and engineering. So it was really helpful because we had this big group project in one class. But since all of our classes were the exact same, we knew how to plan exactly where we could meet and when. And so I just really like that. Plus, you just have a group of kids who you can study with for almost all of your classes, which is really helpful. And so if you need help, there's like 20 kids you can always go to for one class or the other class. So I would sign up for those because I did not know they existed.
Yeah, that's really nice. Like,
I
I
just
never took a FIG, but I wish I did.
yeah, I just want to piggyback off that really quick. I personally was not someone in high school who ever enjoyed group work. I literally always hated it, and my teachers told me how bad of a trait that was. So I'm like not a group work person before college, but especially my major specifically, so he tends to be a lot of group projects. So if anyone is in the School of Human Ecology, get ready for that. But I feel like this year, even in my big 500-person econ lecture, I found kids to do my homework with, and it really helps. And I was really nervous about finding a group of kids to do homework with and finding those cohorts in my classes. But even in the big lectures, like you will find them. A lot of the times it comes from your discussion sections, which are obviously way smaller, like 20 kids to a class. And you know, sometimes those are really helpful for your class. I always go to discussion, and sometimes they're not. So either way, you will find kids to do your work with, and you will find kids that will help you enhance your learning. And it is not as scary as it seems, like, oh, I'm in a 600-person lecture and I don't know anyone. Like maybe the first time you go and sit in that lecture hall, yeah, it's a little intimidating, but once you go to discussion, you're going to make friends, and maybe you'll realize that you have a friend from your floor in that class, and it becomes a lot easier because it becomes a lot smaller all of a sudden. So definitely something I wanted to add to that.
Oh, also off of that, just ask for people's Snapchats or like
Yeah.
numbers. People want to like make friends and get to know people in discussions. Like I was always a little awkward asking for them, but then I realized after a while of asking, like people want to have friends in those discussions, so just do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely a survivor of a really hard class because of that. So
Yeah, definitely. Okay, next question is for Erin and Isabel. Why did you choose to live in Lakeshore or the Southeast dorms? Yeah.
So Erin.
I lived in Southeast and I just really loved it. For me, the location was just like it worked really well. You're a bit closer to like the downtown area, and you're generally pretty close to the Kohl Center, which is great for basketball games, hockey games, just the org fair, stuff like that. I also really like the social aspect of Southeast. A lot of people often leave their doors open. So I found that it was really easy for me to make friends there because you're kind of encouraged to walk in and just say hi to everybody. And many people on my floor I became really close to, which is just another aspect that I really liked. But one thing about Southeast that I feel like people should keep in mind is that from time to time it can get to be a little bit loud, depending on the day, obviously, and there are quiet hours, so it shouldn't be anything really to worry about, but I would definitely factor that into your decision. But yeah, I loved it overall. It was awesome.
Great.
So I lived in Lakeshore. I lived in the Bradley dorm, which is also a learning community, which is just like another thing within dorms, which is like a group of kids. But so I was in Lakeshore in Bradley, and I like Lakeshore because it was nice and quiet. And I'm someone who likes takes nature walks whenever I'm like stressed or just want to get out. So I usually kind of walked around at least once during the day, and that's what's really nice about Lakeshore is you're right next to the Lakeshore path in about like a 15-minute walk to the point of picnic point. So that's very helpful. You also have DeJope, which is a very nice dining hall. There's a lot of other dorms around Lakeshore, just kind of like all bundled together. You have a whole group of people all just going to DeJope. And then you also have the tennis courts, and you're pretty close to the gym as well, which is nice. A little downside is I guess you're not close to the Kohl Center, and there's not as many like people to like socialize with because some people close their doors more often. But otherwise, I really liked it.
Can I jump in really quick?
Yeah.
So I was in DeJope, and I was on I was on a relatively social floor, and like Southeast people are gonna laugh because compared to you guys, it's not like social, but I definitely got to know almost every single person on my floor too. So like just because you're in Lakeshore doesn't mean you're not gonna get to know your neighbors at all either. Like you'll definitely get to, and again, everyone's gonna want to be friends with each other. So like passing each other in the hallway or like seeing each other in the bathroom, like you're gonna end up making friends anyway. So don't worry about being
Exactly.
completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
wait, I forgot what I was gonna say. So you guys go.
Oh, Amanda, go for it.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that also, like, if anyone's deciding that like doing like something like statesider, it's not as big of a divide as like someone would think. Because also there's like I was just like when I went, I was just really surprised by like how like everyone was like really just like united. Like some of my bigs, my littles, my roommate from last year like did statesider, but like I'm still best friends with all of them, and I did Southeast dorms, and like I love doing the dorms in salary, but like if someone is considering doing something like that, just know it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, Statesider, for anyone who doesn't know, is the off-campus apartment complex on State Street, kind of by Urban Outfitters and Collectivo. That's like really popular for a lot of kids who don't want to live in the dorms. What I will say is that like some people do kind of like go in knowing other people, but everyone in Statesider is pretty nice, and it's a pretty solid option, but it's not affiliated with the university. So just to put that out there, it's not a dorm. And going off of that, I know I like lived in the Southeast, so I can't really speak to this because I just got my first choice living in Celery, but I know a lot of kids who didn't get their first choice to live in Celery or Whitty or Ogg, and they loved living in the Southeast in the end. So I think it's really up to you. And also there's always the option to like, request a room change if something's really not working out. But I know that kids like are like, oh, I got my like 18th choice, but then they end up loving it. So there really is equal plus and minuses to both neighborhoods. It just depends on what kind of person you are. Okay. So the next question we're at is for Ashika and Morgan. Where are good places to eat that are not dining hall food?
So my thing every week was to go to State Street and find like a different coffee shop because there's like a million there, and they're all really, really different from each other, and they all have really good coffee. Because you get kind of sick of the Union coffee after a while, and so like being able to go there when you have time. So for me, like because I was in Lakeshore, it was a little bit more of a hike for me. So I'd go every like weekend and Fridays with my roommates to kind of just like go explore. There's also really good Chinese food, and I can't remember the exact name of the Chinese restaurant, but it's down there, and that's like my favorite food in Madison by far. But then if you're wanting to spend like dining hall food, but like or dining hall money, but not in the actual dining halls, because that you might have to change something. My roommates and I used to go to Strata, which is a pizza place in Memorial Union, every Sunday to treat ourselves to pizza, and it was actually really good. And it uses your dining plan money, so you don't have to worry about spending like real
Yeah.
money.
That's actually something that I think people might be confused on, just really quickly, and then I'll let you go, Morgan. But so when you load money onto your Wiz card in like dining dollars, everything's a la carte, except I think Rita's now is a swipe. So it's like $6 or $8 per swipe, and then it's all you can eat. And that's the only dining hall on campus that's unlimited. Everything else is like you pay with your money on your card. But those dining dollars also work in the Union. They work, the Discovery Building has a Mediterranean place. So once you get to campus, you'll kind of hear really quickly like what food is taking your Wiz card, but everything in the Union takes your dining dollars. So just a word of caution, I ran through my dining dollars so fast because I ate at Cart like every day, which is the salad place, and I would get a coffee, and that was like $15 right there. So proceed with caution. There's also a thing called Red Card, which is the off-campus dining hall program for kids who don't want a meal plan. Everyone in Statesider has one because Statesider kids aren't entitled to a university discount on their meal plan. But Red Card's also really convenient just to have if you want coupons, and like your parents can like see where your money goes basically. So it's to prevent people from using money for other things besides food, but people really like it because you get discounts at Fresh and Potbelly, and it's for all the restaurants on State Street pretty much. Take a Red Card.
I went on Red Card starting last semester just because like I would always buy fruit like from I think it was like from the Flamingo Run, or like I would just grab some like from the dining hall, and it would go bad like in like 3 days. So
Yeah.
I was just like kind of sick of like buying it and then like seeing it go bad. So that's one reason why like I went on it. But I also just got sick of the dining hall food like in general. So I wanted more options and not have to pay like from my own pocket. So
Yeah.
it's pretty nice. It's not bad.
Sorry, cut over you, Morgan. Go
No,
ahead.
you're so fine.
Sorry, Morgan.
No, you're so fine. Yeah, the dining hall is honestly like there's a lot of options there just because I know we haven't talked about that yet, but at least at Gordon's, which is the dining hall for the Southeast Storms, there's like Mexican, stir fry, a salad bar, like an omelet station, sushi. So there's a lot of options there. So like you shouldn't be afraid that there's only going to be like one option and then you won't have anything else to eat. Like you can very much vary up your meals, but then when you do get sick, like they said, like there's so many options on state. Like me and my friends went to Sushi Express every week. Like it's reasonable. We loved it. Like just a little like tip if you went for going there, like go to Sushi Express. But yeah, you'll never like be worried about food on campus.
There's so much to eat. There's so much to eat. It's like overwhelming. I made it a goal to try to go to different restaurants, and then I went to the same 6 restaurants because it was so good. So yeah, I really need to work on that. But yeah, so much to eat. Okay. Jamie, do you want to ask that question? I can answer it.
Yeah. What is the best way to get advice on classes?
I'll just say really quickly, go to office hours. That's like all I have to say. If you're really worried about a class, I'm going to be honest, if this class is a breeze to you, like, you know, it's great to go to office hours, but it's really not necessary. As long as you're going to discussion, you think that you're like handling the class, like you'll do fine. But because it is impossible to go to all your classes office hours all the time, but I was in like a pretty big lecture this semester and I was doing pretty poorly, and I started going to office hours and it helped my grades so much. And I'm still doing virtual office hours. They're offering it online. So that's been really helpful because it's like FaceTiming my TA. And what I will say is that a lot of times in the bigger lectures, you don't actually have to go to your TA. So let's say you don't really like your TA's learning style or teaching style. I went to a different TA. So her hours just worked better for me anyways, but it was nice to get a different perspective from my TA for my discussion. So I could like hear it explained twice pretty much, then plus in lectures. So that was really helpful. And there's other services the university offers, like GUTS, which is tutoring, and it's free. It's group tutoring. They have drop-in GUTS tutoring at the library. There is, all sorts of stuff that I'm not even thinking of. I think there's tutors and stuff in Witty and Celery.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many services.
Writing Center in Witty. That's really helpful.
There's so many ways to get help in class, but the best is to start in office hours and to ask your RAs or your housing fellows,
definitely,
like what is like a good resource, because they would know more than me.
From my personal experience, like I had to take like I think it was a science course this semester to fulfill like my physical science rec, and like I like was just talking to my RA, like because she's like a genetics major, like, and also like had to take like so many science courses too, so she like gave me great recs. And same with just like people in like my floor and like people in like my other like courses that I was like they all just give great recs, and everyone like takes just like a variety of courses too, so it definitely doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next question is for Erin and Morgan, and the question is, how cold is it really?
Okay, so I'm from Minnesota, so it's a little bit warmer than what I used to in Madison. But I'm not gonna lie, it can definitely get to be pretty cold sometimes. But honestly, as long as you like have the clothes and you're dressed for the weather, it's really manageable. I would definitely recommend bringing like a jacket, a hat, gloves, boots for the snow, and a rain jacket because it rains a lot more than you think it would. But yeah, I think that the wind, this is like a super Midwestern thing to say, but it really wouldn't be that bad if it weren't for the wind. So just prepare for that aspect of things. But yeah, you can definitely manage it and you'll adjust. It's worse in the fall than it is coming back in the spring. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from Southern California, so I'd never really experienced weather, so that was definitely like something I was freaking out about a little. But like what people who were older told me, which like I found to be so true, is they said you're having so much fun that the weather won't bother you, and it's so true. Like you're having so much fun there that like you're fine dealing with like a little bit of cold, and like I honestly did not think it was as bad as everybody like said it would be either, and like it didn't affect my experience. Like I had a parka, get a parka, like Erin said, get the like gear, and you're honestly going to be so fine. Like it's the weather should not be something that freaks you out from coming here at all, because it's such a minor part of the experience. And like it honestly makes a lot of like our culture fun. Like we have a snowball a snowball fight during spring semester, and like there will be events on the frozen lake, so there's like, and the Statue of Liberty gets put up on the lake. So there's so many fun things that come along with the weather too.
Yeah.
Also, just like really important, there is an Amazon pickup right in the dorm of Celery. So like worst comes to worst, if there's like you're like really cold, you like need something immediately, you can just like Amazon Prime it right to Celery if you're living near there. I personally was like in a class and like I had to go outdoor skiing, like cross country, and I didn't know that until like the week before. So it's like freaking out because like I just didn't like pack on time for that. But then I like remember I literally just Amazoned it and it came like in 2 days, and I didn't even have to leave my building to get it. So you could always do stuff like that too.
Going off of that really quick, I definitely abused the Amazon pickup. My mom was pretty mad about that. But what's really nice about Amazon is that you can literally rent all your textbooks. Some of your classes are going to be really annoying where they require you to get subscriptions to like a homework package. So I had 3 or 4 classes that were like that. And then that's when you have to pay the full price for your book, because each subscription is like new to each textbook. So textbooks like that are like $150 or $200. So that really sucks. But most of the time, you do not need a subscription to your textbook, and you can just rent it for literally $30 for the whole semester, and then you can send it back to Amazon, and it's so convenient. You literally don't even need to package it. You bring it down, and you're like, I'm returning this, and they scan it, and they ship it. It's so easy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely. I know because we don't have a question here about books and stuff, but the bookstore is it's a little confusing sometimes to get your books. One thing I will say is don't stress out if you don't have your book by the first day of your freshman year. Like, professors are understanding and people drop classes, so you really don't need the book till 1 week in. But I'd say that the best strategy, especially if you want to maybe get ahead or you get an email that you should have a reading done, is to check Amazon. Email your professor if you think that you are not sure if you need the access code or if you can just rent the book, and go to the bookstore a few days before classes start. It gets kind of busy during the first week, so go to the bookstore and they will tell you, even if they don't have the book in, what you need for that class, because the professors send the list. So yeah, just thought I would say that before we like forgot. Sorry, Morgan, did you say something?
And just going off of all this, like, I know we're throwing a lot at you, but like Amazon pickup, like the bookstore, and like I remember being so freaked out, and you're probably wondering like, how do you know all this stuff? But like you figure it out, like you figure out the little stuff about like the Amazon pickup locker and like all these like little things. Like you do not need to be freaked out. Like it seems so big and like daunting, but like within the first few weeks, like you have your routine under control and like you figure all of this stuff out. It's not like we did anything special to like know all of this. It's just like being a student, and like it all comes together, and like it's nothing to stress out about.
You guys are all smart enough to have gotten into this school. Like, you need to be smart, which means that you have figured it out on some level for yourself in high school. It's like the first day of high school. You go to all 7 year periods, you're like, what was that? And then you go back the next day and you do it better. It's literally the same thing. It's not anything special, but like it's 10 times better in a way, because you literally get to be your own person and you get to be an adult and make friends and not have to go home and live with your parents. So it's like, it's that and more, I guess. But yeah, like what Morgan said, it's not anything to freak out about.
Yeah, and everyone is in the same boat, so like there's no need to worry about that. Like you are not alone.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much help on campus.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is for Ishika. How far are your classes from one another, and are there ways to get to class besides walking?
Okay, so My classes, like once I got there, were not too far from each other. They were all within a couple blocks, but mostly because I was, um, yeah, I just got lucky with my classes being pretty close. But I did live pretty far away from the center of classes just because of Lakeshore. So what I'd usually do is like leave in the morning for my first class and then be prepared to not come back to my dorm until I was done with everything for the day. And that's a strategy that works for some people. It doesn't work for everyone, and that's totally okay. But what I would do is take I'd take the 80. Oh wait, okay, I'll come back to that. But I'd take the bus to my class for the like my first class of the day, and then I'd sit at like the Union or at a like some building like I usually sat in engineering hall, or a coffee shop or something, and I'd kind of just spend my entire day being in one place studying, and then going to a class, and then being somewhere else and studying and getting food, meeting a friend, and then going to another class, and then coming home rather than going back and forth in between. One thing I will say is, besides walking, there's a really, really nice bus system that the university has that's free for everyone to use. And so basically, it'll, at least for Lakeshore stuff, it'll come right to like, the stop is right in front of the Lakeshore dorms, and it'll go like in a loop all around campus. And it's free again, and it's really, really convenient. So I would usually take the bus to class in the mornings, and then I'd choose to walk back after just because I like the walk, but you can also take the bus around. And then there's also another one, like those are the two that I use. And like there's another one that would go straight over this big hill. So you wouldn't have to walk up and down Observatory Hill if you wanted to get to the Union. So those are like two major things, but the point is that you don't have to walk everywhere, and especially when it's cold, that's really helpful, is there's a bus and it's free and it goes everywhere. So yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, just since we are running out of time, the next few questions are just going to be a little shorter. So, I know, Jamie, I see that question about getting an advisor. Do you want to just talk about that for a second?
Yeah, so I came into my freshman year like not really knowing what I wanted to major in. Like at SOAR, I personally didn't like just felt lost because I was like, well, I'm not really sure what I'm going to study. Like I was in the honors program, but I felt like my advisor in there just wasn't really like helpful in the sense because like she was more about like the liberal arts, and I I was unaware that the courses that all of the like everything that I took first semester was prereqs for the business school. So I was just like, oh, all right then. So like, what am I going to do second semester? Like, because I really just don't know. So I went to Cross College, and they're really helpful with like people who like go into like one college and want to transfer to like another school. So I'm currently transferring to the School of Journalism, and so I'm using the cross college team to like help give me tips like and advice on courses that I should take now, and then how to properly like apply when the time's ready and all that. So if you're ever stuck on a major, then just go to them, and they're really helpful like for everything. And
Yeah.
and most of them like are in your dorms. So we have one in Whitty, and then I think there's one in like one of the Lakeshore dorms too. I think Celery also has one, so they're pretty much everywhere.
Cool. Yeah. That's a good answer. Okay, so we had a lot of other questions, but in the interest of time, we're just all going to go around and say our like best memory at Wisconsin so far, and then we will let you guys unmute and you guys can ask questions or put questions in the chat and we can answer them for you. And then we can stay afterwards if you guys have any additional questions. Okay, so can everyone go around and say their favorite memory of Wisconsin so far? Amanda?
Oh, well, I love like Parents Weekend when my parents come up and we like go to the games together, and I go with all my friends, and their parents also come. So that's just like always really fun because like everyone sort of like goes out together.
I think one of my favorite memories had to be the first football game I went to, just because the student section was ridiculous. Like you don't realize how fun it's going to be until you actually go. So I would highly encourage doing that. But also just getting to meet so many awesome people and making friends and spending time with them.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with the football game. I like fifth quarter. If you don't know what fifth quarter is, it's where the band goes out and plays songs and you just dance to them. My favorite memory is when it was pouring rain and it was freezing cold, so only like 20 of us stayed for fifth quarter, but it was really fun.
Um, this is kind of cheesy, but I liked the entire experience of falling completely in love with the place and the people in it, and not expecting to really find my home that fast, but yet I did, and I miss it every time I leave.
Yeah, like for me, kind of the same thing. I definitely think just figuring out ways to make the school seem like a little bit smaller, and definitely like finding like a good group of friends and orgs that I could do for sure.
Yeah. I think definitely like you kind of don't know like your best memories until you're living in them. And like I'll just say this, people say it about New York, but I honestly think that one like UW-Madison's worst day is anyone else's best day. So I really don't have a favorite because there were good parts about every day I was at college. You just have to look for them.
Yeah, I'd say besides game day, like being at UW-Madison, like my freshman year was like the best year of my life. Like it's amazing, and I guess like a small thing that like would really made my experience was like walking out of my dorm and seeing people that I knew, or like everyone is so open and like willing to meet you and to make friends and to like get to know you, and like I really love that. Like Midwestern culture is such a thing, and like it's amazing. So like I like if there's one thing to take away from this is like Wisconsin is amazing. Like I could rave about it for hours.
Yeah.
Wisconsin is the happiest place on the planet. It's literally being in college is better than like any vacation. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes going to the library and like doing the grind like so it like really work hard but play way harder in my opinion. And whatever that looks like to you, it will be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I didn't think that I would enjoy like walking outside in like 10-degree like hail, but I would. So it's very worth it. It's very fun. It's a great experience.
Yeah. Okay, Harley. I don't want to unmute anyone who like has sound going, but are they allowed to unmute themselves right now?
Yep, I just turned that on. Everyone should be able to
Awesome.
unmute themselves.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to say them out loud, and we can kind of just go like whoever wants to answer it from the panel. And then you can just message it in the group too if you don't have or want to say anything. But go for it.
So I have a question about Southeast.
Yeah.
I've heard, and you guys said it, that it's very loud. What do you guys mean by loud? Like at all odds of the night loud, or like?
So
No.
I lived on a very rowdy floor. Like my floor was kind of known, like I was like the like crazy like crackhead floor who was like, oh my god, like so much of my floor like got posted on like the Badger Barstool like account, but the RAs like are pretty on top of it though. Like they like make sure that quiet hours like are pretty like controlled. Like when it was like exam week, like we all were pretty quiet. It's just very social. So like some people like to go out like on a Tuesday, some people don't. So like sometimes like I would hear people like coming back like at 1 a.m. Some people are kind of loud, but our RAs like are kind of like in charge of making sure everyone's respectful, but it's genuinely like it's pretty okay. Like I didn't have any problems with it, and for people that did, like they normally would like let my RA know or just talk to the people like on the floor. We had a couple floor meetings like just about like being respectful and like just making sure everyone was okay and just going by the quiet hours policy. So
I will definitely add to that. I lived on like the noisiest floor. I lived in the studio, which is like a music learning community. So on top of celery noise, people were playing their instruments at all hours, but it wasn't all hours. It just felt like it. I'd say a good rule of thumb is that if you need to be able to study in your room with dead silence, then the Southeast is not for you. But there are lots of, especially Whitty got redone. It has so many little pods and like places to study. Like I was in celery and there was only one lounge. I'm a library person for sure. I literally never study in my apartment now. I didn't really study in celery unless I was doing busy work. But definitely if you are someone who needs to be able to sit at your desk and like have a really quiet atmosphere, I don't really think you're going to get that in Whittier Celery. Definitely in Aug you could have it. Aug is a lot like bigger space, and it's more, the way the hallways are set up, it's more like pods. You also share a bathroom with way less people. But yeah, so to answer that, unless you absolutely need that, it really isn't that bad. Like the weekends, you know, people come back pretty late and the walls are pretty thin in Celery specifically.
Yeah, same in
But
Whittier.
they're thin in my apartment building that I live in right now. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of, you know, you're in college, you're going to hear stuff. So,
Yeah.
I just want to say
Exactly.
that I lived in Celery, and there were only, like, out of the entire year, there were only, like, 2 nights that I couldn't fall asleep. I loved it. Like, you get these, like, shirts that say, like, I Heart Celery, you know, when you live there, and, like, I literally wear it all the time. There are quiet hours. Like, I don't remember the exact time, but I remember, like, it's reasonable. And then during finals, the quiet hours are extended for a longer time.
Yeah, it's
Also,
like every day, I think.
yeah. Also, like, in high school, just always did my work in my room in my pajamas. Like, I'm literally wearing my pajama pants right now. Like, I just still do it there. But in Celery and Whitty, just because those are the 2 that I'm familiar with, the basement is, like, unreal. Like, you could do so much of your homework there. Like,
Yeah.
I never went to library once freshman year just because I don't like the, like, seriousness of it. Like, it just, like, is too much for me. But I would go into, like, the basement of the dorms and do it
basement's
there.
awesome. Yeah.
And also, I loved it because, like, when I'm going out and stuff, I always just, like, saw friends in the, like, coming in and out. And, like, there's also, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's also study rooms on each den on each floor of the, like, Celery. So, like, my friends did work together every night on the floor of Celery, but, like, I would just, like, do it in the basement, and then I'd come up once every hour and be like, hey. So that's also
Yeah,
fun.
that's so
for
nice.
sure. You definitely like end up running up and down to your friends' rooms. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was never on my floor. So,
Yeah, they put, like, our floor, everyone had, like, a wipe-off board, and, like, we all just, like said hey and, like, put notes on it, like, all the time. No one in our floor no one's room was ever locked. Everyone always just, like, walked in and out. So stuff
Just
like
going
that.
off
That's, like,
of that really quick, I also lived on a very social floor. So I found a lot of the time, or like a good chunk of time, a ton of people on my floor would sit out in the hallway talking to each other up until the last second before quiet hours. And the RAs are actually pretty good about enforcing quiet hours. But I really like that aspect of things, but that's just something to be kind of like, you should keep that in mind when you're thinking about things. Also, I just wanted to add that the lounges and the study dens, those are not quiet areas. Like, they're not required to be quiet areas. So those can be loud from time to time. That's not really anything you're going to be hearing from your room. But just from, like, a working perspective, I would keep in mind that if you are really, really bad and working in environments where there's going to be, like, talking going on, the library is definitely a really good option for that. But if you don't mind it, seriously nothing to worry about it.
Such a huge proponent of libraries. I'm literally suffering doing my homework in my room right now. Like, I am the library queen. I went to college library, which is Helen C. White, like all of freshman year. And then I decided that I actually really liked Memorial Library, which is the one that looks like a prison. But there are rooms in there that are really nice. And once you kind of get into your sophomore year, you start having a lot more like very serious work. I feel like sometimes freshman year, you're in like a lot of random gen eds. So like college is like good freshman vibe, and Memorial Library, they call it MEMS, but it's got literal, this sounds scary, but they're like little corrals that people call cages. And I would sit in them because I literally would study so well in them. I'm one of those people that needs silence, and I need to separate my workspace and my living space. So I would be in the library till like 11, and then I would walk back to my apartment and be able to talk to my roommate who was maybe, you know, making cookies or watching a movie. And I'm talking about my sophomore year, but it's like the same thing your freshman year too, because you'll go back to your dorm after being at college and like talk to your roommate who's still up, or talk to kids in the den, or like stand in the hallway if it's not quiet hours. So and also going off of that, I just want to say that no one really mentioned this, but I personally feel like Madison is a really safe place to be. I walk home from the library alone a little more than I should, which my mom really doesn't like, but I do it and I never feel unsafe, which is good. So if anyone was worried about that, don't be, because we also have safe walks too, and there's always like an Uber or Lyft too. So there's lots of resources if you don't want to walk alone and you get in a situation where you might have to.
Yeah. All right. Someone typed a question into the group chat about Greek life, and she asked, what is it like, and what is it like if you aren't in a sorority or a frat?
Oh, I also like sent an essay. Sorry about
great.
that.
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
So
I didn't know
Amanda,
if you saw that.
yeah. Yeah. So
Someone else
Amanda like
got
mentioned it
stuff.
in the beginning. So
Greek life is great, but if it's not your cup of tea, then don't do it, and don't feel like you don't need to do it. But if you want to give it a chance, you definitely should. We have sororities have formal recruitment, and I know that fraternities have recruitment as well, where they kind of do it differently than a sorority would, obviously. But I think going off the general thing is that try everything. I feel like I showed up to some orgs that just weren't my cup of tea, and I just stopped going, and no one really cares if you don't show up, because it's your business, and it's such a big school that no one's going to take anything personally if you don't want to do it. I know a lot of girls who do the recruitment process who maybe end up dropping halfway through because it just wasn't for them, but they say that they're glad that they tried it. And yeah, it's really up to you and your comfort level. I will say that it's not like other schools. Like Greek life is really understated in Wisconsin, and
Really
it is
laid
what
back.
you make of it. Yeah.
yeah, and like
I
like
really
10%
agree with that advice. Like,
of
you don't have anything to lose by just rushing.
Yeah.
Like, you could just rush or go through the recruitment process and then not join. Like, even if you don't think maybe it's for you, like, there's so many different sororities, and like it could be literally so laid back. Like, I just feel like you have nothing to lose by going through recruitment. Like, I would recommend it for anyone.
There's a lot of fraternities too, and they all have a different vibe to them. And they all have a bunch of really nice guys in them. So I think just kind of, if you're a guy, like, and you are interested in joining Greek life, I know that they have a little bit more of an extended process, with pledging and stuff. So yeah, that's also not like the biggest commitment in the world either. Like, it is what you want it to be. You can join wherever you want, and no one's really going to say anything. So it's up to you.
and
Yeah,
like
I'm also in Greek life. I just wanted to mention that just remember that if it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's not a big deal. There's so many other ways to meet people and make friends. Like, any club you want to join, you can meet so many people through those, through where you live, through your classes. Like, there's so many other ways to meet people, and regardless of how you meet people, they're going to be awesome, and you're going to make friends either way. So it's really just whatever suits you best, whatever you prefer to do. But it's definitely not a necessary thing.
So do Ashika and Isabel want to talk about, because I know you're in AOE, which is not something we talked about, but there are Greek organizations that are co-ed, or I don't know if AOE is co-ed, but it's not.
So
you can talk about it.
yeah, there's a ton of other not purely social like Greek organizations out there, because I'm in Alpha Omega Epsilon, which is for women in STEM, and so we're considered half professional, half social, but we're technically still in Pan-Hellenic, but we don't have a house, a little bit of a lower commitment. But I know that we work with Triangle, which is an engineering, I don't know specifically what they are, but I know like KHK for the co-ed CollegeSide frat, or like Theta Tau is a co-ed engineering frat. So there's other ones, and they have houses too, and they're considered either purely social or purely professional, but that's kind of like a slightly thing where it's not like literally on Greek row, but at the same time it's still a social aspect, and within your major, so you can meet people within your program as well. And I really liked it because I knew going into it that I didn't want to I knew that rushing probably wasn't for me, but I wasn't really planning on joining any sorority at all. And then I heard about AOE at the student org fair, and I was like, okay, I might as well try it. And then I loved it. And I know that a lot of people ended up in that boat too. So, and I still have a lot of friends, and they're my family now too. So, it all works out.
Oh, so I wasn't in Greek life, or I'm not in Greek life now, and I'm fine. I mean, you kind of just meet people other ways besides Greek life. Living in Lakeshore, it's a bit harder to get all the way over there anyways, so it's fine. You just find friends through dorm activities and clubs. I didn't really miss out on anything, I don't feel like.
It is what you make it. Okay, moving on to, we didn't really get to talk about, we talked about kind of the off-campus food, but we didn't really talk about what's in the dining halls. I will just start off by saying that I really liked having a meal plan because there was like a really large variety that was super convenient and super fast. Since I think DeJope only has like one kind of set of meals that's different. You guys have that Mediterranean food in there, which is good. And if you want to walk all the way to DeJope to get it, then you can go get it for sure. You don't have to eat in the dining hall that's near your dorm. But I would say my freshman year, I ate a lot of Mexican bowls from Gordon's, a lot of stir fry. Everyone eats a lot of stir fry. A
Oh, the
lot
best.
of, pizza and salad from Cart. But what I will say to this is that my little is vegan. So she is a pretty picky eater. They do have vegan options. Like they're pretty good about nutrition and having stuff that's allergenic and vegan. But it is because you are having that restriction. It is a little bit of a smaller variety in the dining hall for you. So I think she eats at a lot of off-campus places. I know people really like Forage, and there's like a salad restaurant, and there's literally so much stuff like immediately off campus on the State Street. The food carts are really popular. So if you find that, I'd say if you're wary about the dining hall food, like you're really picky or you're vegan or you have a lot of allergies, I would say your best bet is to buy, I think they make everyone in housing buy a meal plan. So buy the smallest one you can, because you will spend some dining dollars. Like you're going to want to get coffee and you're going to want to get random food at Badger Market in between your classes. Like you will spend that money, and it rolls over into the next semester, so you can spend it however you want. But I'd say if you're wary of the meal plan, buy that first tier meal plan and then get a red card, or maybe talk to your parents about having an allowance, and just kind of decide that maybe you're going to try some off-campus options, and you can add money to your meal plan. If you run out, you can put more on it. And the reason people do that is because then you get the 30% discount. So definitely whatever you decide is like, you can't go wrong.
Yep.
Okay. Does anyone else, I know it's past 3, so if you have to go, like feel free to go. If you do go, thank you so much for coming, and we'll be following up with you guys really shortly just to kind of hear your feedback, and we will be providing our contact information. If you guys want to reach out to us, feel free to. I literally will talk to anyone and everyone. So if you do need to go, thank you for coming. Panelists, that includes you if you do have stuff you need to do, but I will stay and answer people's questions. If anyone else needs to go, you are free to leave whenever. But other than that, does anyone else want to just talk about the dining hall food, or does anyone else have any questions?
I put some stuff also in the chat.
Yeah, people were asking about it too. All right.
Does anyone else have questions?
No.
I'm coming from California, and I want to like ship some stuff or just like order some things like to the hotel. Do they do that? / can I just like give it or order it to my dorm room?
Oh, we were actually supposed to have this question at a time. So Bed Bath and what? Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Bed Bath Beyond, I don't know if you're aware, but it does like pack and hold. So that's what I did, meaning I went to Bed Bath and Beyond near me, and like they gave me like a machine thing, and I like selected everything that I wanted, and then I didn't buy any of it because it costs like a lot of money to like ship everything. But then when I went and I like moved, when I landed in Madison, then I went to Bed Bath and Beyond that's like 10 minutes away from campus, and they had everything already there for me in a cart, and I just literally bought everything. So that was like super easy. So I'd really recommend doing that. The dorms don't really recommend. I don't know if all the dorms like will allow you to send stuff before your move-in date. Yeah, because they don't want everyone's stuff coming. And hotels, depending on where you stay and depending on how much stuff, like maybe they'll let like 1 or 2 things. Like I stayed as a graduate, and like maybe they'll let a little, but it's like not smart to do just because like you can't do that with all of your things. So like something like Bed Bath & Beyond would like be really good to do. Also, when you're moving out like later on as a student, there's Lazy Bones, and like Lazy Bones is something that can pack up all of your stuff and store stuff too. So that's like also something great to utilize.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Where your dorm is, do let you ship to it. So under they did let you in Southeast because there's so many of you, but for Dijon, they definitely did let us. So they email in like July-ish, and they said like they were like, I think 2 weeks before move-in or something like that, that you were able to ship it to there. And so I did that with like Amazon packages, but I did mostly the Bed Bath & Beyond thing. Also, another thing is there's a Target that's like really, really close to campus, but you need to know that it's going to be packed because there's a lot of people moving in that weekend too. So don't depend on going to that Target. What we did is like when we moved in, we actually got a hotel in Middleton rather than in Madison because it was cheaper. And so we went to Bed Bath & Beyond and Target and everything in Middleton. It was still crowded, but it was a lot better than doing it in Madison. So that was like my number one tip that I would give anyone.
Yeah, that's great. So I came like I think 2 days before the move-in date that I was set for, like because I picked up my stuff, and we also got a rental car, which I recommend like if you come like a couple days before. And so I lived in Southeast, so they charge a fine like I think if you try and move in before, and it was very expensive. So me and my family, like we did not want to do it, so we just left everything like just in the car and we just stayed like at the hotel. So I recommend that if you don't want to pay the fee, and it's really nice, and it was not like a problem at all moving in, so it was good.
Thanks. Also, if you want to move in earlier, there's Badger Buddies. So you move in a week earlier and you help other people move in. I did that, and it was very helpful because there was nobody else moving in when I was moving into my dorm.
Yeah.
Lots of room.
Yeah, sure. Someone asked a question in the group chat.
Yeah,
Getting
I saw
a
that.
job.
I can speak to that really quickly. It's super easy. There's like a job board, just start applying stuff. I will say that the desk jobs are hard to come by, but if you like don't mind working in the union or
For the Jewish Center.
there's writing center jobs. There's lots of stuff to be had, and they're always updating it. So definitely check the student jobs board frequently and apply for stuff, and you will find it. And there's lots of places to be employed off campus too, like all those restaurants on State Street need people, coffee shops, Starbucks. There's lots of jobs. So
Yeah, there's like a difference between like the Wisconsin University jobs and like the other jobs. Like you could go on State Street and ask to work at a restaurant or something else, or like Lauren mentioned, like the job board, which is like online, and there's like literally hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Anyone want to talk to anything? There were quite a few questions that we didn't really get to. Parents' weekend, does someone want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. So my parents were supposed to come for a football game, but then things like kind of fell through. So then they just ended up coming for family weekend. It's really fun. It's really chill. A lot of sororities and frats do their own parents' weekend, and most of the parents' weekends are not on a football game day. So like it's very so it's basically like what you make of it. So like your parents can come for a football game. It's not mandatory to come for like a family weekend. Like I really liked it when my parents came, but I think that they wanted like a game. So I think next year like they're probably gonna come for a game like instead of the family weekend. But yeah.
Yeah. Your parents don't have to come during family weekend.
It's not mandatory.
The weekend after. So it's just kind of nice because ASB puts some events on. So
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. One of my friends' parents did like a tour of like Camp Randall. Like so that's cool. But I think I think I took my parents like to a restaurant and they really liked it. So
lots of stuff to do. Okay. Does anyone have anything else? No?
Oh, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering how easy it is to do research. I'm sort of in like a botany major, so it is a little more like niche, I guess, than like a biology major, but I was just wondering if research is an option for freshmen.
Yeah. Amy did it. My roommate did it. I'm not really sure how you go about getting it. Did Isabel do it? Okay.
So I'm in like a research, not like research, it's kind of a job actually for like the civil engineering. And I just sent the dean of civil engineering an email saying, hey, he gave us a talk. So I was like, hey, I really like your talk. can I talk to you about it? And then whenever I met up with him, I just asked if there's any research opportunities. So it's really just about emailing people or like professors that you have that you're interested in, like their research, and they'll like either help you with like finding research opportunities or they'll like include you in their own.
I will speak to that. Just, in the business majors, it's not really research based, but definitely there's so many ways to get connected with business professionals. If you do end up going into like a business or like the retailing major that I'm in, there are literally so many events to connect with people. There's a business fraternity too, which is actually like fairly competitive. There's a women's networking club that our friend Gabby started. That's like awesome. One of the most valuable things about Wisconsin is the alumni network. I see it, my dad went to Wisconsin and he hires people because they went to Wisconsin. Like, it really is super valuable. I'd say it's equal to that of like an Ivy or Michigan. Like, people really do pay attention to the fact that you went to Wisconsin, and that alone will just open so many doors for you.
Also, I don't know outside of the School of Engineering, but I know for us that they send out a lot of emails. Maybe this is just my major. I don't actually know, but they send out a lot of emails being like, "Hey, by the way, like GE is hiring this weekend if you want to go check it out." Or like recently,
they do that for most schools. Yeah.
So like the coronavirus thing, for example, like the GE in Milwaukee is like hiring like by the boatload because they need people to help put together ventilators. So like things like that, like they will email you and let you know about opportunities all the time. Like I get the emails like at least once every 2 days. And it's really, really nice because they're not just in Madison either. Like for me, like I if we had a summer, I wouldn't be staying in Madison for the summer. I'd probably be coming back to Seattle and trying to work here. But they also sent out like engineering opportunities in Seattle, so I was able to apply for those. So it's really, again, like that. I guess that speaks to the alumni network too of how far that goes. But there's that, and the other thing is, I know that a lot of people get their research stuff from like asking a professor, and I get like that's really, really scary. But like I did it, and I've been told no a couple of times. But you have to be prepared to. Like they might say no, but sometimes it might actually work out. So like for example, I was in the Gen Chem that I took. I didn't take like the normal 103. I took an honors version of 109, and it was like a super, super small thing with like a really personal connection with your professor. And I know a lot of people ended up getting research jobs in his lab just because of that class. So like things like that, where if you find an opportunity and you like your professor's research, and they usually do end up talking about it. Feel free to ask, because the worst they're going to say is no, and then you move on. Like it's not a super big deal.
Yeah, always ask for help. You'll be surprised.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too. And on that note, unless Claire or Laura have any other questions, I will just say that your professors want to help you so much. So just remember that. If you ever need help, they are a really good resource besides your TAs too. Like it's all about, they can't read your mind. So you got to go to office hours. You got to ask after lecture.
And they will love it if you show up. And then you can make a connection with them too. So that's really important to think about.
Yeah. I'm actually really flattered when you ask about the research. Like I asked my chem professor about his research at the beginning of the year, and he like went on for hours, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Making people ask. Like they love talking about it too, and it's actually really cool to hear about it because I mean he's doing stuff that's going to change the future. Like that. I mean that's really cool. Like you don't get to see that every day.
Yeah, like I went to my economics professor like about an exam, and she was so sweet. Like, and she was like really glad that I went to her like to just talk about it and like let me like retake it. So it's really nice, and it can be very, very beneficial if you show up. So
yeah. Okay. Last chance for any questions. Okay. But yeah, Claire, if you have a question, feel free. But we're gonna follow up with you guys, and yeah.